Hello everyone. I just recorded a 10-minute video and I pressed a button on my phone and it stopped the video, and I don't know how to edit videos. So I'm starting from scratch. This is actually the third or fourth time I'm starting from scratch today. Well, welcome to the channel, Divine Truth Tarot. I'm actually going to use the two cards I already have here because I feel like they're very important. And I feel like it was very telling that both Ancestors and Storyteller came out. So we're going to be discussing those in a moment. I wanted to also, Charlie was eating the crystals, so I had to remove them. He's up here with us as well. I wanted to just start the reading. I'm using the Queen of the Moon Oracle and the Native Spirit deck. But something happened I shouldn't even say in my connection, a shift occurred in my Divine Masculine's life. And I found out last night, I was guided to do this search, a Google search with his name. And it was almost robotic. I don't know why. I didn't know why I was doing it. I didn't know where it was coming from, because I've been fairly apathetic over the past week or so, just fairly detached from him and from the journey in many ways, while I go into the deeper part of my journey, my healing, and my mission work. And what I found was really astounding. I should leave it at that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you guys. What I found was that something major had shifted in his life. And the irony of that was that this event occurred the last time that I reached out to him. It was like the morning that I was guided, so heavily guided. It was like the night before I thought I was guided, but I was very heavily guided the morning that this event happened. So now it makes sense as to why he did not reach out. And let me see if I'm guided to tell you guys. Okay, so what happened, and I don't know what this means, and that's why I'm feeling very vulnerable. I'm feeling very delicate and fragile, because there's a time where this would have excited me, but I don't know the ramifications of it. I don't know what it means in regards to his life, because we're not in communication at this time at all. He sold his house that he shared with the karmic partner. So I don't know what this means. There could be 1,000 different explanations. And, so you go to this place where you say, okay, did they buy another house together? Is he finally moving on, moving out? Is there a separation? Are they getting divorced? What does this mean? Is he moving? What does this mean? I have no clue. And it's really, the past 12 hours have been really challenging. Last night was really challenging because I felt almost betrayed. Why didn't he mention this? Because that would have been so important for me to hear. At one point, that was the only thing I ever wanted, was just tell me when, you've got a place. That will show me, that will be an action that will show me that you really care when you have your own place. And so I thought, well, maybe that's the case, maybe that's not. So you go to this place of wanting to have faith, but not wanting to get your hopes up. And it's a really fragile place. It's a really precarious place to be in emotionally. Well, what if it's not what I expected or what I wanted? I don't know what this means. And there's a part of me that feels like if the situation were that they were just downsizing, that would break my heart. That would be absolutely devastating. So I would rather not know that, because I'm not sure how I would emotionally handle that. And so it's been really challenging. So I wanted to come on and be vulnerable with you guys, as I always try to do, and really share parts of my story so that you're not alone, and so that you understand that I go through exactly what you go through too. And I wanted to also share this in the hopes that it would inspire somebody or give somebody out there faith, because it does show that there are changes happening, big major changes happening for the masculines. So that I know to be true. So that is an actual fact. And I know months ago he told me he wasn't doing well, but I didn't get anything else out of him. It was very muffled. It was very, there was just no communication really at all, except one sentence when I would reach out, and then he would maybe respond with one thing. And I think there may have been a job loss or, a downsizing of some sort, and so it's like, is that an ego death? That could be an ego death. That could be representative of an ego death for the masculines, having to downsize. I mean, this was a big home, like a mansion. It was huge and huge on a lot of property. It was like its own little island. It's huge. And so I think to myself, oh, this could be a really good thing, but it would have been a massive tower moment for a divine masculine who based his worth on money and status and things and property and houses and cars and all of those things. So it was very fascinating to me to find out this information, and yet I feel in this place of being very numb and also being very saddened because I don't know what's going on in his life. And it makes me realize I'm so far removed right now from the physical aspect of the connection, and I have no idea what that means for him. It's a tough place to be because, like I said, in the past I would have been really excited, and now I just sort of feel like deflated and let down and confused and not sure how to feel. So interesting. So I tell you guys not to let the 3D derail you, and here I am being derailed by the 3D. But there was a reason that I was told to look, and I wish I could tune into. Any of you, I shouldn't say that because I don't want to put my energy out there into, 7,000 people. That wouldn't be wise of me, but I can't tune, I have no idea. Like I can tune into other people's energy very, very exceptionally well right now. Well, all the time. But when it comes to my connection, I have been blindfolded. I have been really, I can't see anything. I can't feel anything right now, even in the 5D. So I have no idea what this means. So anyway, I feel like I'm babbling. And I'm going to go ahead and get started on the cards because I just wanted to share that with you guys. So changes are happening behind the scenes, whether we interpret them as good or bad, positive or, negative or forward or backward motion. I mean, in many ways, I feel like my connection has gone backwards this year, but I think that finding this out just shows that there is forward movement, even if it's not exactly the way we wanted, or even if we don't know what that means. So let us get started on the reading. When I had done the reading before and my phone cut off the reading so nicely, Ancestors and Storyteller came out, and I found this so fascinating that they came out together. When we think of storytelling, we think of our ancestors gathered around a fire, a campfire, and telling stories about their day, and the elders telling stories to the young, and the young learning from the elders. And this is how people shared, this is how they passed on their culture, right? This is how they passed on the stories of the tribe. So I felt a very tribe-like energy, a very warm energy with the campfire, with the element of fire, passion, being reborn, the phoenix rising, and bringing some warmth perhaps into your connection or into your world where it's felt really cold for a lot of the divine feminines. A lot of feminines are struggling. A lot of feminines are struggling in this void place where you just feel like you start to feel apathetic. You start to feel like you're a robot. You start to feel like you start to feel disconnected. And so I feel like this element is trying to warm up the divine feminine's heart and also bring that back online. And remind the divine feminine, like as I just told you my story and opened up and was vulnerable, that vulnerability is our strength. And we need to stay connected at this time, feminines. It's very important. Even if you email me, and I have so many emails that I can't respond to them all. I'm so sorry. I'm one person, and as the channel grows, it's going to become impossible. And I sincerely apologize because I want you to know that I do read your emails and I want to respond, but if I don't have the time to craft a detailed or lengthy response, sometimes I feel like I'm better off just not responding, but holding that place in my heart for you and knowing that I've heard your story and I've heard your cry and I share that pain and I share that triumph with you. So it's about sharing our triumphs and successes as well as our pain and our sadness. And I think this is what this community is for us to continue to allow each other to grow and to lift each other up. And the ancestors are with us, and they're showing up in the form of winged messengers or birds. So you guys might be seeing eagles or hawks or mockingbirds or blue jays or cardinals. I'm, of course, just talking about North American birds because that's what I'm familiar with. But whatever that bird might be for you, a woodpecker, a wild parrot, there's so many, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, millions of species of birds. But understand that, I just heard hummingbird also for somebody. Understand that the ancestors, we see the pyramids, right? I think of Stonehenge as well. I think of what the ancestors did to pave the way for us and what we're doing to pave the way, right? We're creating our story right now, the story of the twin flames. It's the story of the twin flames. So what we're doing to be able to tell this story and to future generations and say, I was a twin flame and this is what I did, and I was a light worker and this is how I carved the path, and I went through hell and back and I survived and I thrived and I felt all the emotions, and I had my divine feminine sisters and brothers with me, and then the awakened masculines came online and they started to be so encouraging, and they helped assist in the 3D, and the feminines, stayed back mostly and assisted in the 5D and the energetic realms and energetic connections. And the whole time the ancestors have been with us. The whole time the ancestors have been cheering us on. So there's a wisdom with this card. There's a wisdom that dwells deep within each and every one of us. We're all storytellers, and we're all here telling our story. We're creating our story. I think this is so powerful. And not only does the wisdom come, again, like I said, from the successes, but it also comes from the failures, from the deflated dreams, from the times where we felt like we did something wrong. Like some of you think, oh, I think they're gone forever. I think I effed it up. Like I messed it up. Okay, so it comes from those places too, from our perceived failures, from the wrong turns in life. So we need to cherish all of it, because the ancestors are saying you're honored and respected for all parts of your journey. For all parts of your journey. So perhaps it's time, as we step into this energy, we're about to be in Scorpio season. We're going to be in Scorpio season this coming week, which is so exciting. Happy birthday, fellow Scorpios and Scorpio North Nodes and Scorpio Moons and Scorpio Rising, Scorpio Venus. Happy birthday. And just happy birthday to everyone. Happy birthday to all of you. Damn it. Scorpio season for me is so transformative. I think that even if I wasn't born as a Scorpio, I would feel the energy. At least I would like to think so. And this is a time for us to become the Phoenix rising. This is a time for the Scorpios to really step into that place of being a leader. Scorpio connects to the underworld. Scorpio connects to, when the veil is thin, when Halloween approaches. We're all feeling the energy. We're all powerful. We're all intuitive. We all have access to that. It's not just reserved for a few select souls. We all have access to that. Nobody is above anybody. And we're walking as soldiers, as warriors together. We are the ancestors, right? We will be the ancestors for somebody else. Think about that for a minute. And imagine that you could travel back in time at the same time and communicate and speak to your ancestors and have story time with them. I can't believe these two came out together. I'm like absolutely thrilled. What would you say to them, and what do you think their response to be in regards, what would it be in regards to this twin flame situation, this connection, this journey, your personal journey, okay, your soul's purpose? What would it be? What would they tell you? How would they guide you? And then allow yourself to embody that wisdom, because it's already inside of you, because your ancestors are you. They're in your cells. They're in your DNA. Give thanks to them. It's important that we thank them. The more gratitude we show for them, the more blessings and guidance they will send out to us. See if there's anything else that wants to come out. think this is just about empowering ourselves and empowering our journey. Like, how do you wish to empower yourself? And I mean, we can disempower like easily with the story that I just told you guys. In my connection, it could feel very disempowering because I don't know what it means. And then you think, wouldn't my counterpart want to share something that's so transformative with me? But I don't know the reason why. So I could allow myself to feel empowered by it, or I could allow myself to be disempowered by the information. So I think it's really a choice that we have. Do we want to be empowered, or do we choose to be disempowered? Okay, so moving on, we have the shapeshifter. Shapeshifter. How are you able to move through different chapters of your life, different periods of your life, different seasons of your life? And think about how much you've shifted just in this past year. Think about how you have changed form. And we have the full moon. So this really speaks to me. And because it's such a dark energy here, like not dark energy, but not at all, actually. I love shape-shifting. I love that energy. But it speaks of the night, right? Nighttime. And when the moon is full. So this full moon in Taurus that's coming up at the end of the month, the very last day of October on Halloween, how is that going to allow us to the veil thins on that day. So how is that going to allow us to shapeshift into perhaps see things from a different perspective, perhaps take on different personifications of the divine feminine or divine masculine within you? And just have a little fun, like do a little shape-shifting, a little dance. What does that mean to kind of float between worlds and to float between, not just float between worlds, but to float between meanings? So, this is about shifting consciousness also, right? Shape-shifting, shifting our consciousness. And as the veil thins, as we draw towards Halloween, the consciousness is shifting. We're in Mercury retrograde, so already things seem murky. Communication is murky. Communication is at a standstill. If you were in communication, you might not be in communication now. There might be a pause, another sacred pause, or there might, be a retreat, or it might seem like things are going backwards. So how can we shapeshift into different levels of consciousness? Now, shapeshifting originally, I actually learned a lot about it when I watched the series True Blood. But shape-shifting is really, these are people who claim to be able to shift into other states of consciousness, like plants or trees or animals, and to be able to experience, in those moments what it was to be a different form. Okay, it's like morphing into a different shape. So I feel like this energy of the card really says it's not, like you're not stuck in this shape. You're not stuck in the 3D consciousness. We're not stuck in this reality, but we feel like it can really feel like it feels very sticky right now in the 3D. I feel like what it's saying is it's time to release that stickiness. It's time to sort of, like a frog on a lily pad. I feel like it's saying it's time to like lift your leg up and hop to a new lily pad. Frogs have those sticky webbed feet, right? I think of tree frogs, how they're able to really like latch onto something. So that's what I feel like we're being asked to do, is we're being asked to not invite our past with us to the future. And this is the burning away, the story time, storyteller, the fire, the burning away of the remnants of the past that have held us back. We want to take the lessons but leave the pain. That's something that I came up with recently. Take the lessons and leave the pain. And it just popped into my head one day and I thought, this is powerful. And this is a mantra that we can use on this journey. Take the lessons and leave the pain. So letting go of our attachment to our current identity, letting go of our attachment that we feel to being divine feminine, letting go of our attachment, okay, the labels, divine feminine, twin flame, light worker. How about just human? How about just soul in a human body? How about How about a journeyer, an explorer, an adventurer? What would it feel like if we could lift some of these labels? Because I think a lot of us are feeling that way. A lot of us are feeling like, I just sort of need a break from the labels, and I just need to feel like I can just be me, whatever that means. Can I just be me for this period of time? What is that going to mean to just be you? And to sort of relieve yourself of the burden of having to be anything or having to do anything, and just allow yourself to flow with the energies, to flow with the, see you later, Charlie, to flow with the consciousness that wants to take form in that moment. Interesting. Oh, wow. 2 opposing cards. So I was asking, as I was shuffling those cards, I was asking about the masculines, and we got peace and extremes. These are 2 opposing cards. Hot moon extremes, passion, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, fire energy, but look, more fire. So yes, the masculines are feeling the heat, but I don't feel like this is, I don't feel like this is necessarily the sexual energies. Those have been really tuned down for quite some time because the masculines haven't had space for that. They've been going through so much turmoil and upheaval and chaos that they've had to literally just survive. So I don't feel like they're feeling very sensual or sexual today. What I feel like this is in regards to is the heat has been turned up in their life in terms of the calamity factor, in terms of disruption, disturbances, the rug being ripped out from underneath them, in terms of them having to face their fears, having to face those parts of themselves, the shadow parts that they've really turned off for probably most of their lives. And the masculines, it's interesting because he's got his back turned. And this is how a lot of the feminines feel, like the masculine has his back turned or her back turned on me. Why? The temperature is rising, the heat is rising for the masculines, they're sweating. They are absolutely, they're surrounded by, like they can't think, I think that's a glass of water, but they can't think of anything else. Like they cannot put their minds on anything else. It's literally like chaos, destruction, calamity, tower moments, dark night of the soul, like everything is collapsed. Everything is collapsed. And I hope my story has given you a glimpse of how that's actually happening for the masculines. Like, he didn't tell me about it. I discovered it, but I was guided to do that. It's like the collapse, the destruction of the way that things were, to pave way for the divine, the divinity of the masculines to step through. I heard somebody say, another reader once, that it kind of triggered me, really triggered me actually initially. But now I see what she was saying. She doesn't sugarcoat either. So I have to really appreciate that about her. And what she said is that the masculines, they're not masculines until they're divine masculines. They're not divine masculines until they are divine. Otherwise, they're just masculines. So it's like, don't put them on a pedestal. You can love them. You can appreciate them. You can send unconditional love. All of those things. You can appreciate them, but don't put them on a pedestal, and don't allow things just for the sake of the label of divine masculine. Make sure that you hold them to the same standard you would hold anybody else, and maybe even higher, because they are your counterpart, but at least hold them to the standard that you would hold other people. Don't make excuses for them just because they are your counterpart, and they shouldn't do that for you either. There still needs to be respect. There still needs to be an element of forthcomingness. There still needs to be an element of fairness and equality and equal give and take. So I feel like a lot of times the toxicity arises in these connections when we place them on a pedestal above everyone and everything, and oftentimes at the expense of your own happiness or your own abundance or your own well-being, just to, make sure that the connection is on track. So the heat has been turned up for the masculine, and it's been hard. It hasn't been easy. It's been really challenging, and they've honestly, I feel like they're sweating at night, like they may be waking up in cold sweats. You know, they may be waking up and they may be just ridden with anxiety, ridden with just realizing they need to deal with their trauma. They need to deal with, like, how did I get here? How did I get to this place? They need to deal with that. Nightmares, okay, kind of Nine of Swords energy. That's what I'm getting from this card. And then we have peace, which is the complete opposite. It's like masculines, what would bring you peace? In the moon cycles, right? This is like full circle, coming full circle. Masculines still have lessons to learn. Masculines are still going through a hell of a time, like pun intended. They're going through a hellish time. So they still have lessons to learn. Let's find out. Let me see if I can clarify that. I'm going to actually bring in the Light Seers deck to see if I can clarify that. The Peace card. Let's see. How can I clarify that? I just saw Three of Swords. Interesting. Oh, wow. Okay, guys, I have to... Okay, that... I know I didn't shuffle the cards, but look what I just saw back to back. Three of Swords and the Emperor. So, Three of Swords, extremes, okay? This is what's going on. Brokenheartedness. Absolutely, the masculine's hearts have been shattered. I think what's maybe challenging for the feminine too, and I speak for myself also when I say this, and other feminines that I'm in contact with, friends and also clients and people, just viewers who have emailed me, it can be challenging sometimes for the feminine to think, oh, it should be easy to walk away from the karmic partner. It's not, especially if there's history, especially if there's emotional codependency, especially if there's children, and especially because the masculines feel like they failed, like they've let people down. There was a sense of burdened. I've been like there was a burden. I'm a burden on others. I've been burdened. They feel like a bad person. There's guilt and there's shame. And yet this is exactly what needed to happen. I mean, it had to happen this way, masculines. It absolutely had to happen this way. There was no other way. But there's definitely an element of brokenheartedness that's coming through very strongly for the masculines as they feel the heat. The heat is just getting turned up more and more and more, and it will continue to do so. And for the masculines who haven't made the decisions, whatever that decision that might be for them to step away from karma, whatever the karma might be, there's tons of different variations of it. If they haven't made that decision, it's going to be happening for them, and it's going to be ever more painful and ever more challenging. So when we see the Peace card, we have the Emperor that came up. They will feel at peace when they can embody their Emperor energy. When they can step away from this victim mentality, I'm the victim of my life, poor me, I'm the victim. It's not that they shouldn't be entitled to feel what they're feeling, absolutely. But the feminine knows this all too well, that when we play the victim, think about this for a minute, feminines. I can recall, let me have another storytelling, another story time moment. There was a time where I blamed all the men in my life, like my father, my brother, who's basically deserted the family, and all the men I dated, most of them. Oh, it was all their fault. And then I woke up. Okay, I woke up after my last relationship. I woke up and I went, whoa. Who's the common denominator? What is the common denominator in all of this? It was me. It was me. I was making these choices. I was inviting these people into my life, this karma into my life, this trauma into my life. It's not that I wasn't doing it consciously, of course. I was doing it subconsciously. So I was gentle with myself. I practiced self-forgiveness. I practiced understanding and knowledge. And then I realized we do things subconsciously because we're repeating trauma. This is unresolved trauma that lies dormant within us. And that's what the masculines have to realize, is that this Three of Swords, it's due to unresolved trauma and unresolved codependency and the wounds of abandonment and rejection. And the masculines, it's like the feminine, in many ways, the masculine feel has rejected them when the feminine put up those boundaries. And now these karmic cycles closing out, they feel abandoned yet again. So it was like a double whammy this year for the masculines. Oh, and then the world closed in on them. They lost jobs, or they may have lost money, or they lost homes, or, marriages, relationships. Everything is crumbled. And now the masculines are going, they feel like the victim. But remember, feminine, if you can be empathetic, remember a time where you felt like the victim and you realized, okay, I need to step out of this victim mentality because this is not serving me. So that's what the masculines are going to realize, that the peace, they're going to have to be the ones to bring themselves peace. It's not going to be the feminines. It's going to be the masculines bringing the light back into their life, bringing the peace back into their life. And with that, they will step up and become the emperor. They know that they can do this. They know they're capable of this. And they know that this is the answer. The answer is divine masculine, stepping into your power. That's what you're being asked to do. So what energy is the feminine in? The feminine is in fear. We have the image here of a feminine. It's interesting because the light is on here in the darkness. So there's something that's trying to shine the light on your darkness, feminine, but maybe you're not allowing it. Maybe you're disallowing it. Maybe you're pushing it away. But she's crumpled up there. She's crying. Okay, it's interesting. She's also playing the victim here. So both masculine and feminine need to step out of the role of victim. And we have here, the energy of the darkness. And it's interesting because here we have the birds who are free. And in this card, we have the birds that were caged that have now been released. So this is letting yourself out of your cage, like taking yourself out of your own imprisonment, which is the imprisonment of the mind. Fear exists only in the mind. Fear isn't real. When we realize that we're not only an ancient soul, an old soul, but we're a limitless being, that we're a limitless soul, and that this body is temporary, there's nothing to fear. We don't even fear death. We know that it's just a transition. So the feminine, to get out of this energy, right? The masculine needs to step into his or her power, in place and role. Take his power back, take her power back. The feminine needs to release herself, unburden herself from her own imprisonment, the imprisonment of the mind. I'm also hearing, don't make assumptions, feminine. Don't make assumptions one way or the other. For the union energy, Spirit would like you to focus on releasing the fear, okay? Releasing the burdens, releasing the blame, releasing the shame, releasing the codependency. And we also have self-love. So both feminine and masculine needing to practice self-love at this time. So it's actually, there's work being done separately by both the feminine and the masculine. And yet again, we have the butterflies, so another winged animal. So we have the birds free here, the birds being freed, and we have the butterflies transformation. And it does look like she's actually breathing the butterflies out of her mouth, like she's releasing. It's so fascinating, this card, because it's almost like she's become one with the sticks, like the frozen tundra, right? It looks like frozen ground. Maybe she was frozen, right? Frozen in fear, and she needed to release herself. And she's doing that. Look, her hair, even though this is sort of like dark and gray, we have the red fiery hair here, the passion, the desire to release herself from that which is holding her back from her own self-imprisonment, from the chains, right? That bind you to something, to an old identity, right? Remembering that she can shapeshift. So the feminine is shapeshifting. She's literally breathing the butterflies, breathing the freedom out from her. And as she does that, she connects to, sort of looks like a nebulous here, but she connects to cosmic consciousness. She connects to the light. She connects to color. She connects to those deeper levels of herself, those higher realms of consciousness, which tell her, with this new moon here, that anything is possible, that new beginnings are on the horizon. Spirit, if there's one thing you could tell anybody watching right now, what would it be? Feminine or masculine? If there's one thing you could tell anybody watching right now, what would it be? Abundance. Focus on the abundance. Focus on what is already yours. Speak things into being. Focus connections with nature, okay? Connections, of course, with, the full moon bringing in abundance. Focus on what it is that makes you feel abundant. Perhaps journal about this. What is it that makes me feel abundant? What does abundance mean to me? Because it's so much more than just money in the bank. It's nice to have money in the bank, but there's so much more than just that. When we're grateful for what we have, we easily invite in more. Yeah, nature spirits. Yeah, nature spirits coming through here. Fairy energies, right? Nature, gardening, being out, forests, forest bathing I'm hearing as well. Forest bathing is so great because it actually, they've done studies on forest bathing. They do this a lot in Japan, for instance, and it really allows you to, it has to do with let me see, I feel like I'm going to mess it up, the explanation, but if you look up forest bathing, you'll understand. I feel like it has to do with the energy that you're releasing and the energy that you're absorbing. And it's really fascinating. And it can bring just a state of it can help induce deep breathing. It can bring a state of just utter relaxation, release from anxiety, release from depression. This is where you're going to find your abundances, out in nature. It's not in your mind, feminines. It's not going to be in the 3D, but it's going to be in this, solo time out in nature. Let me just look at the book and see. Nature spirits. Does it talk about that? They're talking about fairies. I was hoping they would talk about forest bathing. Maybe. Let's see. Is there a forest card in here? Nah. Look up forest bathing, though. Okay. Let's finish with one card. Let's ask, current state of the union. State of the Union address. Current state of the union. Current state of the union address. Current state of the union address. Warrior of the heart. It's like melting the ice around the heart, right? Polar bear spirit, melting the ice around the heart. Both feminine and masculines may be guarding their hearts at this time. Excuse me. So both feminine and masculine are being asked to release any barriers around the heart, do the heart healing, open up the vortex, open up the energy around the heart, forgive. Practicing forgiveness is really the easiest way to cure all ailments of the mind, ailments of the body. Remember why you came here. Remember why you chose this journey, and try to release from the fear. Okay, try to release from the fear that's really both masculine and feminines. It's really threatening to bring you down, or threatening to really take you out of alignment, or for many it has taken you out of alignment. So remember that we're here, warriors, to tell a story. Our story is divine, and our story is worth telling. Our story is worth knowing. Our story is worth living. So I'm going to leave you, beautiful souls, on that note. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for listening to my story, and thank you for holding me in love and gentleness and kindness. Any comments that are not of the light will be deleted. It's not easy to be vulnerable with almost 8,000 people plus. So please be mindful of that when making comments. Please refrain from judgment from myself and from each other. I send you guys so much love, and I'll see you in the next video.